To discuss Lindsay Graham's gaffe. Lindsay, go Lindsay with the gaffe, please.
Say this. If there's a prosecution of Donald Trump for mishandling classified information after the Clinton debacle, which you presided over and did a hell of a good job, there'll be riots in the streets.
All right, folks, welcome to GAMcast Live, the Great American Mail, the Florida and Georgia lawyer that interprets the news and events of the day through the law, the Constitution, and history. And Lindsay Grahamnesty, if at all possible, has breached all three of them there. It is amazing how it is. I don't know how it is, but it seems like the GOP just can never help itself with respect to this kind of thing. I really don't get it. I don't understand how they can't, figure out a way to not let Lucy pull the football away at the last minute. They really just can't seem to do it. But folks, this is why this is such a gaffe for Lindsay Graham. First and foremost, as we've been covering all week, this Trump raid has been going sideways for the Department of Justice, the FBI, etc. We covered earlier about the fact that the warrant was way overbroad. If you scroll down, you'll see a video about how it violated the Fourth Amendment. It obviously violated the Fourth Amendment, okay? Then we're going to go through this again today. We're going to take a look at the affidavit again and demonstrate to you that once it's been released, and it was released on Friday, that there was no reason to fumble the ball here. There was no reason to overreach and say something like Lindsay Graham just said. In fact, let's go back and listen to it again. Now that you know that the warrant was violative of the Fourth Amendment, it was too overbroad, and obviously ridiculously so, right? And everything's moving the right way. Then the affidavit comes out, and we're going to walk you through the fact that there's no law here that he broke. They're either on a fishing expedition or they're trying to break down the Constitution and make you think that the government is subject. And I'm going to explain that to you in great detail in a moment. But before I do that, I want you to listen to Lindsay Graham again. Why would you say this and give them a gift? And just so you know that it's just not me, this is Joyce Aline. She's on Twitter. She's got like approximately 1 million followers there. She teaches at the University of Alabama. She's a former prosecutor for Obama. I mean, okay, as if these people are not biased, right? Anyway, why would a U.S. senator say this? It's a classic threat of organized crime types against prosecutors. Nice little blank you got there. Shame if anything happened to it. Republicans who've done nothing meaningful like impeach Trump after January 6th now openly condone violence? Question mark. Exactamundo. And I hate to agree with her. Republicans don't condone violence. Republicans don't riot. That they use the proper means for going after people, which the proper means in this particular instance is what Trump's doing. He's trying to get a special prosecutor appointed. He's challenging the subpoena on Fourth Amendment grounds. Go to the courts. We don't riot. What's he talking about? Let's just do it one more time and then I'll break down the warrant. And why you would do this, especially when the warrant was just released one news day ago. We didn't even make it one news day without a Republican putting a daggum foot in his mouth. Here we go. Listen to Lindsay Graham one more time, and then we're going to break down the affidavit, which I haven't done on YouTube. I've done it on Twitter. I've done it on Rumble and other places, but I haven't done it here, so we're going to do that, and then I'm going to wrap it up.
Say this. If there's a prosecution of Donald Trump for mishandling classified information after the Clinton debacle, which you presided over and did a hell of a good job, there'll be riots in the streets.
Riots in the streets. Okay, folks, there'll be riots in the streets. All right, folks, here's again. This is from our Great American Mail Substack.com page if you want to check it out. Anyway, we wrote a pretty good article on it. And the good thing about this article, again, if you go to greatamericanmail.substack.com, greatamericanmail.substack.com, you can pull this article down. And if you scroll, if you want to read the actual warrant, which I'm going to do, there it is. If you want to read it, just go to this article and click here and click it, and it will come up. All right. If you want to see our analysis, a little bit more breakdown, these laws can and do not apply to the President of the United States. Boom, click there, and it'll pull up my Rumble video. All right, without further ado, let's get to the affidavit backing up the subpoena. There it is. The key paragraph, and I've just done this so I can scroll through quickly and wrap this video up quickly, folks. So if you scroll down to paragraph 6, you really get to the meat of the subpoena. This is where they tell you, here's what we're investigating. Based on the following facts, there is probable cause to believe that the locations to be searched at the premises, Mar-a-Lago, contain evidence, contraband, fruits of crime, or other items illegally possessed in violation of 18 U.S.C. 793, 1519, and 2071. 793 is Defense records 15 has to do with national records, and 2017 has to do with mutilation or destruction of those documents. Folks, that is 18 U.S. Section Code, Section 793, 1519. They are laws passed by Congress. What's the problem with that? Well, it should be obvious. We're going to go over it in a moment. But the Congress being an Article 1 branch under the Constitution and the President being an Article 2 branch under the Constitution, how can Congress pass a law that tells the President how he can handle his papers as the Commander-in-Chief, right? I'll wait. And you know what? You're not going to be able to come up with anything no matter how long I wait, because they can't. This is a separation of powers issue. And again, they know this, right? But I want you to understand just how silly this is before I explain why they know it. And then we're going to go look at a Supreme Court case a lot of people have been talking about, but we're going to go to the actual case, 1988 case, Department of the Navy versus Egan. Let's go back to where we were, though, with the affidavit backing up the warrant. I want you to understand how silly this is. First and foremost, it cited 3 laws the president, by law, can't break. They can't prosecute it for him, and they know that, okay? Anyway, on February, this is the probable cause. So this is the other big part of the affidavit supporting the warrant. On February 9th, the special agent in charge of NARA's office, NARA is the National Archives and Records Administration, Office of the Inspector General sent a NARA referral via email to the DOJ. The NARA referral stated that according to NARA's White House Liaison Division Director, a preliminary review of 15 boxes indicated that they contained newspapers, magazines, printed news articles, photos, miscellaneous printouts, notes, presidential correspondence, personal and post-presidential records, and a lot of classified records. Of most concern was that highly classified records were unfolded, intermixed with other records, and otherwise improperly identified. Folks, that means Trump took stuff while he was the president, which he's perfectly legally entitled to do under Article 2 of the Constitution. He took them with him to Mar-a-Lago. Government's got no right to do what they're doing here. More proof of that, okay? But the other proof of this, they waited until they found out on February 9th, and they waited 6 months because this stuff was so critical. Forget about the constitutionality of it. On February 18th, it continues. It goes on, right? Then it talks about a treat from Trump, and then we get to paragraphs 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, there's one sentence that cites an article, then 31, 32, so forth. Why is all this stuff redacted? They're not telling us anything. But what little they've told us is that this is not genuine. Now, I said that they know about it. Here's how they know about it. This is Exhibit 1. So if you go to the article, greatamericanmail.substack.com, it's the last article. I published it on Saturday, I believe, maybe Sunday. Doesn't matter. It's up there. If you go down there, the first link click in the article will bring you up to that. All right. If you scroll, it'll come up like that. Then if you scroll down like this, you will eventually get to Exhibit 1. Exhibit 1 is a letter from President Trump's attorneys on May 25th, 2022 to the National Security Division and the Department of Justice. You see it right there. If you look on page 2 of that letter, you will see any attempt to impose criminal liability on a president or former president that involves his actions with respect to documents marked classified would implicate grave constitutional separation of powers issues. Why would it do that? Department of the Navy versus Egan. I mentioned it earlier, 1988 Supreme Court case, but it's been the law of the land. Everybody knows it. That's why when there was a dispute between Obama, that's why when there was a dispute between Clinton, that's why when there was a dispute between Bush, that's why when there was a dispute between Reagan and everybody else, that never went anywhere near a criminal law. You know why? Because Article 1, the Congress can't pass a law regulating Article 2, the presidency. A lot of people talk about, well, the president, he could magically classify, declassify, unclassify. He don't need to do any of that. He's the president. They're his records. It's the executive office's records. Congress can't regulate those. I know it may sound uncomfortable to a lot of people, but it's the truth. Anyway, Department of Navy versus Egan, which you'll find in the Supreme Court Reporter if you have access to it. If you don't, just type 484 U.S. 518 or Department of Navy versus Egan into the Google, and it will come up. I mean, I have a service as an attorney. I have a service, so I've got the actual opinion. Here's the money quote from the opinion. This is a dispute about whether or not the president can give certain documents to an underling or not. And Congress came in and saying, hey, you can't do that. We've got a whole scheme by which you've got to do. You can't do this, this, and this. And the Supreme Court in a 6-3 decision, by the way, how in the world did 3 think the president can't do this? But anyway, the Supreme Court said, and I quote, I've got it highlighted right here in blue, the president, after all, is the commander-in-chief of the Army and the Navy of the United States Constitution, Article 2, Section 2, okay? His authority to declassify and control access to information bearing on national security and to determine whether an individual is sufficiently trustworthy to occupy a position in the executive branch that will give that person access to such information flows primarily from his constitutional investment in power in the president and exists quite apart from any explicit congressional grant. All right, let me highlight that again for you. All right, exist quite apart from any congressional grant. He doesn't need permission, and they can't prosecute him for it. What we've just seen from this warrant from the very beginning, if you scroll back, paragraph 6, when they say that they're prosecuting him for violating rules that they've passed with respect to the records that belong to the executive branch, there's no way he can do this. And one last thing, if you notice when Lindsay Graham said, as compared to what happened to Hillary, they keep saying this too. Well, if I did this or if I did that, I'd be prosecuted. If I did this, yeah, you know why? Because you're not the president. Maybe if Hillary Clinton had done something and she wasn't prosecuted, but maybe you can prosecute her because she's not the president. But if you're a former FBI agent, yeah, you're not the president. But the president cannot be charged. Separation of powers. If the Supreme Court is forced to get into it, they will. But Lindsey Graham certainly didn't help us get closer to that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please remember to subscribe, clip it, share it. Sharing is caring. Please support content creators such as ourselves. And the main thing is tune back into the next one, folks. We'll see you next time.